Okay, so it's 9:30, so let's get ready to begin. As usual, just check the surroundings. Always double check how you're feeling. Don't feel pressured in doing something that hurts. If you have a recent heart surgery, just be careful with anything that you know might bother your chest or other areas. Okay, so let's do our warm-up first. Okay, so we still start with just marching on the spot. Okay, and just also try to take deep breaths in and out. So just keep going while other classmates also join us. Okay, so let's also warm up our joints as well. So starting from the neck, so just be looking up, down and then up. Okay, so you can always match your breathing with the movement. So generally, we breathe out when we make ourselves smaller. Okay, breathe in as we make ourselves bigger. Okay, and just go as slow as you need to. Okay, after you're done, that's up and down. Let's also try side to side. Okay, just try to keep moving your legs in some fashion. So if you don't feel balance, you can just lift your heels inside the whole foot. And try to keep your shoulders relaxed, swinging from the entire shoulder. Okay, let's move our entire spine. Okay, so same idea as before, but we just be focused on the middle of the chest. So you're going to breathe out as you just maybe slightly slouch. Okay, as you breathe in, try to bring the middle of your chest up to the ceiling. Okay, try to engage the muscles in the mid back. Okay, pull your shoulders back slightly. Okay, and the opposite as you go down or breathe out. And slowly you can exaggerate the motion if you do not have any back problems. Okay, let's rotate our spine. So remember that our spine should be straight when we try to rotate it. It just works better that way. So let's try to have the chest up. Okay, and then turning side to side. Okay, shoulders relaxed. Try to touch the opposite hip. Okay, both from the front and the back. Okay, so if you've been try to keep your feet moving in some ways. Okay, and then switch, try to rotate the entire body. So or the opposite if you have been rotate the entire body. Okay, so this one you just rotate your hips and your feet as well. Okay, back to just opening up a little bit. So let's try to have the arms crisscross in front. Okay, be a little bit slower at the beginning. Okay, see if you can open your shoulders up. So straighten your arms, fingers back a little bit. Feel a little bit of stretch just in the front, kind of the chest and the arms. Arms does not have to be too high up. Okay, let's go kind of forward and back. So we're going to kind of push something backwards. Okay, and do the opposite. See if you can touch it behind your neck. Okay, and you're just going to do repeat. Okay, slowly you can exaggerate the motion. So try to reach further back. Okay, maybe try to reach further down your neck as well. Okay, but once again, only go till you don't go into pain. So if it's painful, just stop before then. Okay, and let's just rotate the entire shoulders. Keep trying to move the spine along as well. So just a very exaggerated shoulder circle. Okay, maybe a couple of times in the other direction. Okay, let's also swing the arms. Maybe side to side. Okay, slowly see if you can bring up a little higher. Okay, breathing in as you reach up. Okay, also try to bring your chest up along as you bring the arms up overhead. Okay, let's kind of do one side almost, so we reach up and across the midline, side bending through the spine, maybe a little bit through the neck as well if you feel comfortable. Okay, once again, you can slowly exaggerate the motion. Okay, if you do not have any back problems or osteoporosis. If you do, just maybe don't try too hard anytime you're bending or twisting the spine. Okay, let's try to rotate the arm. Okay, so we're just going to keep the elbows close to the body as you try to push your hands out, okay, and then back together. Okay, maybe the change direction. Okay, this time elbows up a little higher, reach a little deeper into the armpits. Okay, reaching out, your thumb should be facing backwards. Your entire arm is kind of rotated forward. Okay, rotate back and then repeat. Okay, try to have your spine still kind of tall. You're only rotating from the shoulders, okay, not so much the back. Okay, and be just a few times just in the opposite direction again. Okay, let's go into the entire shoulder again. So focusing on the elbows, try to get your elbows to be a little closer together. Okay, we start off shoulder height first. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can see if you bring it up a little bit higher. Okay, maybe just 3 to 5 times each direction. Okay, once again, maybe it can be a little uncomfortable, but if it's painful, then back off a little bit. Okay, and relaxing the shoulders, just rotating the wrists. Okay, maybe just change direction again. Okay, rotating each finger. Try to pull your fingers also towards the back of the hand as well. Okay, so just try to move each finger. It's okay, multiple fingers move at the same time. As long as the one that you're trying to move is actually moving. Okay, and opening, closing the fingers. Okay, exaggerate bending the tips of the fingers. Okay, relaxing the upper body. Okay, go into a hip circle. Okay, small circles first. Slowly exaggerate the circle by kind of pushing your hips further out. You might feel a stretch in some areas. Just keep the shoulders relaxed. Okay, let's move the hips a little more. So this one, it might be easy if you're holding on to some support. Okay, but you swing your leg back and forth and you're trying to move from the hips. So your spine shouldn't be bending and straightening too much. Okay, so focus on moving from the hips. Okay, and same thing on the other side. Okay, once again, you can use a chair or a wall. If you feel comfortable, you can also just do it without support. Just makes it a little bit harder. Okay, and then we'll go side to side. Okay, if you have a hip replacement, don't try too hard in the middle. Okay, so if your hip replacements, just go in line. Okay, and then back out. Okay, if your hips are fine, you can cross it a little bit more. Be careful that you're not over twisting the supporting leg as well. Okay, and Kind of same thing with the other leg. Okay, and it's also almost going in a circle. So try to circle underneath you. Once again, it would be easier if you're holding onto something. Try to circle also behind you. Okay, so not just circle in front of you. See if you can reach further back. So it's a half a circle that goes all the way around, not just in front. Okay, and maybe 3 to 5 times in each direction for both legs. Okay, and loosening up the knee a little bit, so just bending and extending. Okay, slowly see if you can pull it up a little higher if there's no pain. Okay, and let's shift our weight forward and back on our feet. Okay, so moving your weight over your toes, kind of staying on top of it, and then over the heels. Okay, just kind of balance by moving your upper body. Okay, and then shifting the weight side to side. Okay, try to tilt your feet slightly. Okay, and then try to move your toes a little bit by stretching the floor. Okay, by lifting them off the floor. Okay, try to spread them apart a little bit. Okay, especially the big toe. Okay, and maybe just go into some sort of ankle circle. So it could be on the ground, could be off the ground. Okay, try to draw a bigger circle. And repeat on the other leg. Okay, so let's go into our sets. Okay, so still going to be 30 seconds. So kind of 30 seconds a little bit slower, 30 seconds be something slightly more complicated. Okay, but we're still starting off relatively slowly and then trying to gradually increase the pace. Okay, if you feel warmed up, feel free to go a little faster. Okay, but just to the point where we're a little bit out of breath. Okay, and adjust based on how you feel. Okay, so we're still gradually increasing the pace to our own comfort level. Okay, still trying to maintain a relatively tall posture. Okay, so just get a little taller, shoulders kind of slightly wider. Okay, first one, let's just do an exaggerated march. So still reaching up with the hands, reaching up with the knees. Hands will be just at forward level. Knees will be mid-thigh or kind of maybe at most hip level. Okay, feel free to go a little higher once you find it's okay. Okay, and just moderate speed. Okay, and going to what we call an active rest. So you can adjust the speed based on how you feel. Okay, so next one, kind of exaggerated, kind of marching would be side to side. So you're reaching one leg out this way, one hand out this way. Try to open the palm a little bit more. Try to reach the outside a little bit more the leg. Okay, so try to reach out on both sides. Okay, opening the palm up as well. Okay, try to almost reach to the side of you. So if you're very tight, you might feel a little bit of a stretch in the front of the arm and in front of the chest. And then to the marching. Okay, so let's reach behind us and then both arms this time reaching forward. Also trying to open up the hand. Just reaching backwards, try to squeeze. You're squeezing your butt muscle. If you want, you can reach a little high up. Be careful what you're doing on your spine, so the motion comes from the hip joint, not so much your back. Okay, so you should be kind of close to your target pace now. So including warm up, we've been doing this for about 15 minutes. Okay, so next one, instead of reaching just back, we're going to reach back and across. Okay, so we swing your leg kind of back and across. The arms on the same side is going to reach in the same direction. So it's just going to be right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg. Okay, reaching kind of across the midline. So weight should be shifting side to side a little bit. So you can kind of tell that my belly button is moving side to side based on the grid on the floor. Okay, and back to the marching. Okay, so next one, we're still reaching across the midline, okay, but this time feet doesn't move so much, okay. As you're rotating hip side to side, okay, but your floor kind of stays planted, okay, and you're going to be reaching across, okay, but rotating your entire trunk, rotating, moving your lower body a little bit as well. Okay, so your belly button should be kind of pointing side to side. And your toes kind of should be with your nose. Okay, next one, almost the exact same motion, but instead of just rotating side to side, we're gonna add a little bit of a squat in between. Actually, let's just do just a squat first. So legs roughly maybe armpit width apart. Remember to stick your bum out, feet flat on the floor. Knees should be roughly over the foot. Okay, so just a mini squat. Okay, and then stand back up. Okay, maybe go up onto a little bit of your toes just to engage your thighs. Okay, if your knee problems, don't go too low. So it's always doing almost like a bow and then standing up tall. Okay, but your knees are aligned with your foot. And giving maybe your thigh muscles, calf muscles a little bit of rest. Okay, so now we're going to the turn with the mini squat. So you're going to be squatting down slightly, stand back up. Instead of just standing tall, you're going to reach across. You're going back into a mini squat, reach the other way. Okay, once again, we don't go too fast. Okay, so squatting down. Okay, maybe a little bit of a diagonal reach. Once again, your toes should point in the same direction as your nose at the end of the movement. So we're not over twisting your legs, your knees. Okay, let's move the arms a little bit more. So be just marching the hands out in front. You can add a little bit of a circle to it as well. Okay, now let's just hold it up or rotate it a little bit. You can also change direction a little bit. You can change direction of your turn. Shaking things out. Okay, next one kind of similar, but instead of to the side, we try to reach overhead a little bit more. Now, once again, just go to the point where you are still pain-free. So, reaching upwards. Okay, just focus on bringing the chest up. Feel your mid-back muscles engaging. If you want to, you can add just a gentle circle. Try to move in the shoulders, not just the elbows or the wrists. It's okay if you have to be a little bit lower down or a little more forward. And slowing back down a little bit. Okay, so that was our first 10-minute set. So we're just going to be doing a little bit of cool down, which just means move a little bit slower until your heart rate comes back down, until your breathing comes back down a little bit more. Okay, so let's just do a cross step as a cool down. So kind of like we did before in the set where we just cross our legs front and back. Okay, see if you can just slowly move side to side. If you feel comfortable, you can do a bigger cross step. Okay, but don't try too hard if you have a hip replacement. Okay, if that's okay, you can also change your vision up a little bit. Okay, for example, by turning maybe slowly side to side or moving your head up and down a little bit as you do the cross step. But think of this as a cool down, so just do it slowly. We just want to be moving, keeping our limbs moving when our heart is still beating a little bit faster. Okay, when you feel like your heart rate is dropping back down a little bit, okay, then let's take a rest. Okay, so let's check time. Right now it's 9:54 or so. Let's come back in 2 minutes or so. So 9:56. So definitely getting enough fluids. So we drink some water. Okay, if you're okay, you can also spend time when you're resting by doing things that we are not, that you should work on more. For example, my hips are tight, so I might spend more time stretching at this point. Okay, or you can stretch other areas as well. and if you do have a big towel, you can also grab that as well. So just to change things up a little bit, we might be just using just a towel, just to add, okay, pretty much you were just adding a little bit of resistance to your arms. Hopefully it's just more, keep things a little bit more fun as well. Okay, so I think that's about 2 minutes. Okay, so let's begin our second set. Okay, once again, you don't necessarily have to have a towel. It's just something to add a little bit more resistance. Once again, if you do have a kind of open heart surgery or anything like that, just be careful. It's something new, maybe something new, something different. It might be a little uncomfortable for you afterwards, so take it maybe a little bit easier. Okay, but we're still kind of marching on the spot first. Okay, so we'll just be, for the first couple of ones, we're just going to grab the ends of the towel a little bit. Okay, but at the beginning, we're just still going to be marching on the spot, slowly getting back up to speed. Okay, for the first one, we're just going to be almost drumming, I guess. Okay, so once again, this is just a little bit of weight. Okay, so your ass might feel like it's working slightly harder, just because the weight is kind of throwing your body off a little bit as well. So your trunk does have to work slightly harder to keep everything kind of stable. And just because you are moving more muscles and your muscles are working a little bit harder, your heart rate is also going to increase as a result as well. Okay, so next one, a little bit bigger motion. Okay, so we'll just be, both arms are moving together. Okay, and if your towel is long enough, try to swing it almost overhead behind your head, and then so it's kind of like this. Okay, and then just kind of going back and forth. Okay, if your shoulders have issues, just bend the elbows. Okay, elbows might be just still to about shoulder height. Okay, that will be kind of easiest on the shoulders. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can do, of course, bigger motions. Okay, or even just faster in general. Okay, but take it easy at the beginning. Okay, so your back, the triceps, the back upper arm might be the one that's the most tired from this. Okay, so the back of the arm is actually working almost to help to slow down the cloth as it goes up, and then of course string it back out. Okay, so same idea this time, but a little bit diagonal. So we can go from side of the body, go up, side, so a little bit of rotation of the shoulders of the arms. Okay, but very similar movement. Okay, feet just keep moving in some ways. Okay, could be just, once again, just might be easier if you just pump your heels. Okay, but if you want to, you can just keep marching. Okay, shoulders at this point might also be a little bit tired. Okay, next one, I'm going to give the shoulders a little bit more of a rest. Okay, so next one, shoulders is going to not work as hard. We're going to just try to power with our hips. Okay, so you're going to just hold it closer to your chest. You're going to be swinging it almost side to side. Okay, but try to power it through your hips. So a little bit quicker rotation on the hips, kind of like what we did in the earlier rounds. Okay, we're going to try to move your feet as well. Okay, so I'm not so much powering it with my arms so much. I'm really just turning my feet, turning my hips to swing it side to side. So if you want to make it harder, if it's comfortable for you, you can Go a little bit faster. The motion doesn't have to be too big. Okay, and back to the marching a little bit. Okay, next one, kind of similar idea, but instead of just side to side, we're going to add back a little bit shorter. So we're going to almost try to do almost like an X in front. Okay, you're still trying to power it with the hips and not just the shoulders. Okay, so I'm still trying to turn my feet, turn my hips. Okay, but the arms are a little bit further away from the body this time. Okay, but I'm still not like doing a big chopping motion of my shoulders. I'm still trying to power up my core, my hips, so you feel that to be a little bit tighter. Okay, and usually relax, keep your relax your shoulders in between. Okay, so next one, let's do single side. So you can maybe choke up the towel a little bit high up. Okay, or you can, if it's not too big, you can double it up as long as you can still grip it. Okay, but we're trying to swing it on one side. Okay, and once again, you almost feel your abdominal muscles. It does have to work a little bit harder. Okay, because we are not symmetrical now. Okay, once again, if you want to, you can go faster. Okay, a little bit of a grip training as well. If you have it cut, have the towel bunch up a little bit more. Okay, and we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, just a couple more seconds of marching. Okay, and start off maybe more slowly at the beginning. Okay, once again, if you so choose, you can go a little bit faster or a little bit bigger range of motion. So primarily shoulders a little tight, grip maybe a little bit tight. Okay, so let's try to maybe fold up the towel midway, or if your towel is a little bit long, fold up a little bit. So just see maybe half. Okay, so next one will just be almost going up in there, but okay, so just mostly your little bit of hips, shoulders just be hip height to shoulder height. So this is still it's a bit of resistance. The towel definitely has to work a little bit harder. Okay, and just notching it back out. So if you're doing it fast enough, probably your breathing increases a little bit more. Okay, last one, similar motion, but this time a little more of the hips. Okay, so arms move less. Try to power it a little bit more using your legs. Okay, but still Doesn't have to be too big of a movement. Still be careful with yourself. Okay, but this time my arms move a little bit less. My hips need work a little bit more. Okay, so just something slightly different, kind of still similar, but it's actually kind of good grip training. So our grip is actually related to the strength of the upper body. So they do find people with stronger grips tend to have strong upper bodies as well, partially because when we squeeze our hands, everything else tends to contract at the same time, because that's how we kind of climb. So this is almost like a reflex. When we grip onto something, your shoulders automatically almost stabilizes itself. So better grip tends to show kind of improvements in the rest of the upper body as well. Okay, and the towel is just a little bit of resistance since we're not really holding weight, and mostly we're still doing the lower body, but it's just a way to add a little bit of resistance to the upper body. Okay, so let's slow back down even more. Okay, so let's try to do almost like the crisscross front to back. Okay, so we're just walking on a tightrope. Okay, once again, use this as support, so maybe do it alongside a wall or chairs. Okay, if this is easy, once again, you can try to turn your head side to side, but try to keep your focus, let's say, at your camera. So that will make it a little bit more challenging. You can also look up and down. You can try to keep your focus, let's say, maybe just at a point in the distance. Okay, wow. Kind of tightrope walking. Okay, widen your feet a little bit more if you feel like it's way too challenging or way too unsteady. Widen your feet. The idea is just to make it a little bit more challenging for ourselves. Okay, and we can do that by narrowing what we call our base of support, so the anchor points of our feet. Okay, and let's check the time again. So right now it's about 10:09. Let's take a 2-minute break. So about 10:11 or so. And once again, still move around if you feel like your heart rate is still up. Try to slow down your breathing a little bit. Okay, you can also use this time to stretch yourselves out. So my hips are definitely too tight lately, so I'm just doing a little bit more of a stretch for myself. So don't try to copy. Just kind of think about what maybe, if anything, you need to work on a little bit more. Maybe just spend a little more time in between. Once again, don't try to so much copy, but it's just think about what you need to spend a little bit more time on. In my case, it's just the stretch. In your case, it most likely is going to be different. So for a lot of people, maybe the shoulders, maybe the side of the neck. could be maybe trying to place your hands very high up the wall so that you are opening up the shoulders a little bit. Okay, so let's get ready for final set. Okay. You don't necessarily have to do all the sets. Okay, especially if you're kind of new to this, maybe just stop at any point. Okay, it's also okay to slow down a little bit for the final sets if you're feeling tired. Okay, you don't even have to do all the movements. You could just be kind of joining us and just march on the spot if that's what you feel comfortable or if that's what you have the energy for. Okay. If you're okay, you can of course choose to get back up to your target pace where you are a little bit out of breath. Okay, first round, let's keep it simple. Let's do just a side to side, kind of side walking a little bit. Okay, if you want to, try to move your arms a little bit side to side. So try to get your feet moving side to side. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can go a little bit bigger steps or a little bit quicker. Okay, but it could be just something like this as well. Okay, next one, let's just go forward and back. Be extra careful with slipping when you go forward and back. Try to check what's behind you as well before you move too much. Okay, right. So quick couple of steps forward, couple of steps back. Just still marching on the spot. Okay, so next one, we're almost going to be doing a little bit of what we call lunge, which is just pretty much using your thigh muscles on one side. It is a little bit harder on the knee, so take a smaller step if you know you have knee problems. Okay, but what we're doing is that we're taking a kind of a medium step or large step to the sun side, come back, step out. Okay, so it's not just a touch, but actually kind of like a step. So at the beginning, we just do smaller steps. Okay, if you feel comfortable, you can do bigger. Okay, you can also drop down, of course, a little bit lower, but remember to stick your bum out. Okay, feet should still be flat, kind of flat on the floor. Okay, so we want to do this just so that we are loading our hips as well and not just our knees. So the hips are behind us, so we want to push it a little further back, but further back, I mean. Okay, next one, we're going to do similar idea, but forward and back. So we're going to do let's take a step back first. Okay, come back, take a step forward, come back, switch legs, forward and back, forward and back. Okay, so take a step back, take a step forward. Okay, switch legs. Okay, oops, front to back. I should move a little more forward. I should just turn sideways actually. Okay, so it doesn't quite matter whether you start from the front or the back. Okay, just trying to switch between the toes. Okay, and also watch the alignment. Once again, your knees are still tracking over the foot as you step forward or step back. Okay, let's try and lift the knees a little bit higher this time. Okay, and you're just going to try to reach across and touch with the opposite hand. If you do not have any back problems, see if you can get your elbows closer to your knees. Okay, so at the beginning, just to touch the opposite of your hands. Okay, if you have no back problems, no osteoporosis, you can see if you can do a little bit of a twist. Get your knee and your elbow to be closer together. It doesn't necessarily have to touch. Okay, but only if you do not have any back problems or osteoporosis. Okay, so just a little bit more engagement in the front of the trunk muscles. Okay, next one, kind of similar idea, but maybe a little bit more of the side. Okay, so you're lifting your knees up. Once again, you can just start with touching with your hands. Okay, if you feel comfortable, if you do not have any back problems again, see if you can get your elbows and your knees to be a little bit closer together. Okay, so start off maybe just even just touching. Okay, or you can do almost a little bit of a side crunch. Okay, so a side bend in the trunk. And try to get your elbows a little bit further down into your legs. Okay, so front, kind of this front of the hips will be a little tight. Hopefully you feel a little bit in the side of the trunk again. Okay, but for most people, probably is the hips that's more tight. Okay, so instead our trunk muscles also it does bend forward, bend to the side. It also keeps everything still. So we're gonna do kind of similar to what we did before, okay, but just with our hands this time. Feet are not gonna be moving, but we'll just be bouncing back and forth, just between shoulder kind of width. Okay, arms kind of straight. Okay, so as you do this, you should feel that your trunk muscles have to tighten a little bit more. Okay, so just a little bit at a faster pace. Okay, shoulder, of course, might be a little bit tight. Okay, let's keep it simple this time. Maybe just go slightly faster. And arms, just circle. Could be forward, could be back. A little higher up will be harder for your shoulders. If you switch directions. Okay, for the last one, take it a little easier. Let's just use the back on the legs a little bit more. So you could, if you want, you can put your hands behind your butt, okay, and your goal is just to get your heel a little bit closer to your palm. Okay, so it doesn't have to be too fast, but maybe try to get your heel a little bit closer. You just feel the back of your thighs working a little bit harder. and definitely slowing back down. Okay, so I'm a little over time today, so if you need to go, feel free to just keep walking for a little bit first. If you feel like your heart rate is back down, if you know how to do your stretches, just you don't have to stay longer. We're just going to be doing our usual calf stretch and a hip stretch after this. But still keep moving in some ways first until you feel like your heart rate is slowing back down a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to get ready to stretch my calves, stretch my hips. Okay, so for the calves, just anything that you can get your toes high up on. I just prefer a yoga block. It could be a wall, could be a chair, a desk. But you just want your toes to be higher than your heels. Okay, and you're just going to move your weight over your foot. So while you're stretching, maybe focus on your breathing a little bit more. Okay, just by trying to slow it down a little bit. Okay, so when we slow down our breathing, it helps to almost calm our nervous system back down. So we don't want our nervous system to be kind of excited all the time. We want to engage. We need to engage, kind of disengage or relax when we don't need to be. Okay, and we can just switch sides as well. Just on a side note, speed athletes, instead more than just being stronger than the average person, they're also better at relaxing as well. So the idea is that when you're very tight, when you engage your muscles very tight, you don't move as quickly. You have to be kind of relaxed to move fast. So kind of the speed athletes, like sprinters, they can engage the muscles very quickly, okay, and then relax very quickly. So every step they're contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing. That's how they can move more quickly as well. Same thing, almost like a puncher. So they engage the muscles to throw a punch. Okay, they almost relax in between, and when they impact the target, they also tighten up, so to transfer almost a force into the kind of the other person. So we want to also learn to relax our body and not just work it harder all the time. Okay, let's do the hips. Okay, and we'll just call it a day afterwards. So just one foot in front, one foot in the back. So we're just continuously lifting our hips for the entire almost an hour. So let's open this back up. Okay, remember to just lift the front of your belt up, just so that your back is not overly arched. And if you're stretching the front of the hips, maybe top of the thighs. Once again, focus on your breathing a little bit more. Okay, which means take a deeper breath in, take a longer breath out. Okay, and exercise whenever you're ready. Okay, and shake your back out. So definitely go over time. So thank you for coming, everyone. If you don't have any questions, then maybe see everyone next week. No problem. Oh, that's good. You feel good afterwards? Yeah. That's great. No problem. Bye-bye.